Welcome everyone to Cisco Canada's Virtual Kitchen. I'm going to try to figure out the button here. There we go. Anyways, welcome everyone to Cisco's Virtual Kitchen. We have a great show lined up for you today. I am, first of all, super excited. Got some goosebumps. I'm a little nervous, not as nervous as April though, on the show. You like that? Anyways, I want to welcome everyone. I don't know if we call you the White Buffalo group, White Coffee group, or the Howling Moon squad or group. Anyways, I want to welcome Sean and Paul and April to the show. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to turn down the background music here in a second to our podcast. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. We first want to do a land acknowledgement.
Yes. My apologies. Let's get that. Let's do that.
We're first talk about our Coast Salish territories we're on here. Our office here is in Kwantlen, Katzie, Coquitlam nations. They share all the little piece of beautiful area here. Paul is from the Squamish Tsleil-Waututh Musqueam territory, but he is a Squamish Nation member. And April here is, we also want to acknowledge Anishinaabe Curve Lake First Nation is in the house. And myself, I was born and raised on Treaty 6, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and we're so happy to be here, Jay.
No, we were super excited. So can we put some land acknowledge where I am as well? Would that be okay?
It's Treaty 6.
Is that true? Am I Treaty 6 here too?
You are Treaty 6, my friend. Yeah, I raised a little bit north of Stony Plain there in St. Albert. So it's traditional, as the Edmonton Oilers always announce it, which I love. The Dene, the Blackfoot, the Blackfeet, the Stony Lakota, and it's and the Cree, and it's really cool that they're doing that now. And I really, of course, still an Oilers fan there. So being raised in that territory.
Yeah, well, it's great, and we thank you for coming on the show and sharing. I'm gonna ask a lot of questions because, first of all, not only do you have the coolest coffee, Jay's Top 20, but I want to hear the story about this. I want to hear everything you can tell us about White Buffalo. In really, I think that's what I found fascinating when we talked the first time was the story behind the product, and I want to hear a little bit about that. Share that with our guests. They're going to listen to this live, but also on demand on all of our channels. But do you want to get into that right now?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Right.
The White Buffalo concept came about many years ago. And it was, I've been on the West Coast now for 33 years. I've been in the coffee industry 33 years. And we do have a little West Coast coffee company out here, but I felt compelled to go back to my home and where I walked the Buffalo Hills. I lived, I breathed the air there. And you know what? It comes to me as visions, all our stuff that we do, and it's very sacred to our Indigenous is we all have visions and we follow different journeys, and we'll share some of those journeys too here. I think before we do that, but I think honestly, I'm going to introduce myself a little bit, but I'm also
to
our my fellow partners of Howling Moons, and then we'll get into talking about Howling Moons and how that came about, and which is really cool stuff too. And but you know what, I'm going to pass it off to Paul. I'm going to get him to introduce himself and then a little background of who Paul is, and then I'll get over to April here. We do have a little talking stick here. So, Paul, you are talking now.
So, hey, folks, my name is Paul Netrell. As my brother Sean said, I'm from the Squamish Nation in North Vancouver, and I'm the owner-operator of Vancouver's first Indigenous food truck, Mr. Bannock, where we specialize in Indigenous food. I grew up around it my whole life, but professionally I've been doing it since 2009, 2010. And just bringing really good eats, traditional and modern stuff to the greater Vancouver area. I'm also a director of ICANN, and we have a group of Indigenous chefs across the country. So like when I first started, there was about like maybe 6 Indigenous chefs I knew, but We help build a whole pool of Indigenous chefs across the country now. So
Wow.
it's super exciting, and I'm excited to team up with everybody here and bring a lot of stuff to the table.
That is awesome, Paul. And I think all the things that you can share with us as we have this journey together in our soon-to-be podcast show that we're going to do with you all the time now moving forward. I'm just going to say it the way it is, all the time. The experience and knowledge that you're going to bring to not only us but to our industry. Thank you for that, first of all, because it is incredible. Like, it's amazing. I've always felt that there was such a gap in the culinary world and our industry of the Indigenous and the food service world. And you guys are closing that. So thank you for doing that, first of all, because your food, your culinaryism, that's a word. I always make words up too, Sean, by the way. In April, we make words up too, eh? So but just thank you for that. And I'm excited to learn about your food truck, a little bit what you're doing, but also the other chefs that you're connected with across the country. We need to learn more from you, and we need to put it everywhere, and we need to share it everywhere. And I did see, and I apologize, what airport just opened an Indigenous restaurant in an airport in Canada. Was it in Richmond?
That's
Was it?
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How cool is that? That's huge, right?
Yeah, and Inez is such a beautiful woman too, and I've been involved with her and since the Olympics there when we all kind of met. All of us kind of met at that time when they did the Indigenous inclusion with the Olympics and the 4 host nations and so forth. So it was really, that's when British Columbia started to unite all the nations as one, which is important too, about unity and one nation thinking and so forth.
Awesome. So let's get April. She's so nervous over there.
No.
To share a little bit about April.
You hold on to that. It'll help you.
Ani, my name is April Munnings, and I'm from Turblick First Nation. Grew up in Oberlin, Ontario, a little small town. I am currently in school for a commercial pilot's license, and I am currently on an amazing adventure to learn the Anishinaabe culture. I started out making dream catchers as a little girl. I've been doing them for forever. And the dream catcher, there's many different points of a dream catcher, and it's sacred to us. And it has 13 points, representing the 13 moons, grandmother moons of the Anishinaabe way. So I'm excited to go on this journey with my brothers, and learned a lot. That's it.
I love that. Thank you. I'm good, eh? We're gonna see you later, guys.
I want to add to that, Jay. I want to add to that. You know what? She does. She just brings so much delight to our team here, and it's also about the 7 grandfather teachings. The 7 grandfather teachings is again these teachings that are passed down with the Anishinaabe. It's they actually the Oji Cree and so forth, Ojibwe as well are all Anishinaabe. So these grandfather teachings are pretty much, majority of Canada. So it's really cool that she brings those, that knowledge down as well as a foundation for the White Buffalo Coffee Company. It's those teachings that are so important, when we get into that. And of course, you can go to our website and learn just the tip of the iceberg of what we're trying to express and really using our platform to express all these teachings and the moon cycles, and I think it's just education. Education is the key to our future, Jay.
So Sean, can I jump in on that, because I think it's a good point, because I'm a big believer of education as well, and I do believe that we can actually cure a lot of things if we just learn or relearn, as our president here at Cisco always says. I got to ask you on that though, because I think it's such a good point. Is it okay though to kind of mess up stuff, because we're so scared as non-Indigenous to actually be open to say, I may mess stuff up. Like, I'm nervous right now and saying the right thing and wrong thing to you, and I apologize, but is that okay though, from your perspective, that we're trying to learn? I'm trying to learn, And a lot of people, I think, get nervous in a way, going, I want to say something wrong, or I don't want to mispronounce something. How's that when it comes to the education part? Because I promise you now, I will mess stuff up.
This is perfect because I'm going to answer it first, and I'm going to let my other colleagues also answer it. And I think the key is it's been so much disrespect throughout the years and so forth, and demoralizing and everything. And quite honestly, First Nations just want the respect.
Yeah.
They want the respect of the land, and it's so important because quite honestly, if we don't have the land, we don't have the water, there's no more life on this earth. And I think that's the key. So it's respect, and that's why we do land acknowledgement. It's the respect. Mm-hmm. We hold our hands up in the Coast Salish, that we're unarmed. That's one of the meanings as well. And it's just, it's welcoming. But I'm gonna let Paul maybe give his, because we're all over from all over Canada here, and what we call great Turtle Island, so to speak, North America. So go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that everybody works on, right? It doesn't matter how old or how young you are, you're just continuously learning, and we're gonna make mistakes. We are human.
Yeah.
But just work with your elders and the knowledge keepers in your area, and then that's all we can do, right? Like before, when I was younger, I used to chat and watch my grandmothers do everything. That's where I learned a lot of my culinary skills and stories.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's cool. I will tell you what my grandma used to make these biscuits that would just kill your right? So I didn't learn my skills from my grandma. Paul, she had these things. You'd be like, Grandma's making biscuits. You'd be like, no. Right? Pound of butter, melted, didn't help.
Yeah, I think that's what we're getting at, Jay. It's okay to mess up. It's okay, as long as you apologize and acknowledge you're messed up and move on. That's, again, it's just a little bit of acknowledgement and respect. It's and listening is really key, I think, to this too. And what else?
And ask questions. Don't be scared to ask us questions. It's honestly, I find it an honor when somebody is like, hey, April, what do you know about this? And if I don't know, I'll do my best to try to find the answer for you. I'll go to elders, I'll go to knowledge keepers, I'll go to Sean, my brother. We can find the answer, and it's just learning together. And that's just absolutely beautiful thing, right?
Yeah, I love that. And I love the fact that we're having this conversation. I'm actually super stoked to have you guys on the show today, but also to let everyone know that you're going to be doing your own podcast on our network and sharing your journey and your information with us all the time. I know. I'm giving you the keys, right? So it is, and I'm honored for that. But I think that's where the more that we can give you avenues and allow you just to do what you do and to share your stories and share the knowledge that we need to tell people more about this, I'm honored by that. I'm blown away. So, but I definitely apologize now because I will say stuff not meant by in no means intentional. It's as I'm trying to learn, and as we talked earlier before the show, I learn a little different than most people. So, but let's talk. I want to talk about your coffee because I want to get. Because okay, can we move into the coffee now? Because
let's do it.
It's not just a coffee. It is really good. I'm not just saying that. I told you, I drink liters of it a day, and I probably shouldn't. It'll get me one day, but so well. There's worse things to do. But I have to exactly. If I were keel loaf, you know why? No, it's really good. What? So tell me more about the story. Why coffee? Why? Because your background, is that why? Is it why the bridge over? I would say from a culinary perspective, this is probably the last I would have thought you would have went into was coffee. But you're creating, you're first of all building a lot of bridges by this, and sharing so much knowledge through coffee, which we could get really philosophical here and say it's coffee, usually a conversation around coffee. Everyone talks when they have coffee. Coffee is usually served in the kitchen, but we all know that's where the world is all cured and fixed, is in a kitchen. But tell us more about that because I think it's so interesting. And like I say, I'm not kidding you when I say it's really good.
This is quite the story, Jay.
Okay, here we go. Okay.
It's I was a young, 12 years old, 13 years old on my own, and I started. This is where my Indigenous families were very teaching me the work ethics and so forth. So I ended up working around Alberta, Yellowknife, Northwest Territories at the time. I don't know. I can't remember what the real new name is, but learning the work ethic was the key. And I got laid off from the oil rigs in 1989, and I grabbed my wardrobe box at the time, and I moved. I'd go to Vancouver with the boys. We're moving to Vancouver now. Oh, okay, let's go. And literally living in a tent, living in a box, out of a box, and I got this job. Second day I got here, lifting coffee, and from there I swept the green beans out of sea containers, and it was the longshoremen used to unload it, and the company that I worked for were public weighmasters, and these public weighmasters used to weigh the cocoa and the cotton and the coffee and all the other commodities coming off the ships. Well, things evolve, and so they started actually physically unloading coffee, and it was a decade of that, physically unloading it with a couple meat hooks, and that seal is so important that you showed there on the TV screen there, and it was that seal I used to heat up wax, and I used to pour it on the coffee samples and deliver it all over the world. I worked for
this really okay. Wait a second. Okay. By the way, also, I'm going to apologize because I'm going to interrupt you all the time on my show. That's what comes with me.
Sure.
Just because I have to get in there because I get so passionate about this. Okay, first, there's a camera. You did this kind of seal in wax on what?
Okay, so the coffee samples, if they were bought off the New York Stock Exchange. So coffee itself were bought off the New York Stock Exchange. So from third world nations. And if we had a problem with those samples, I used to have to seal the samples, send it back to the plantation, send it back to New York. And this is back in the day, Motorola M phone, 3 pieces of paper on a typewriter. I'm not aging myself.
The fax machine was just introduced that time.
Yeah, dinosaurs were just discovered. Yeah, it's. But you know what? That's the history of me. So, and that's really where this came about. And our tagline is history remembered, history acknowledged, and history defined. And I'm going to get more into that in a bit. So the concept was the seal that I used to. So my history. The seal that was sealed the coffee samples, I wanted to put the buffalo in marble and chiseled because they cannot be forgotten, just like all the other, whatever's I'll go back to my Greek gods, okay, on that, because those are important to remember. But you know what? You put famous or idols in stone so they're never forgotten. And I wanted to put that buffalo in stone. It's so important. There was 80 million buffalo that used to roam the plains and throughout Turtle Island, and it was taken away. And that's something that I don't want anybody to forget. That
80 million. Sean, you said 80 million?
They
80 million.
80 million, yes. And that was taught. That was knowledge from a Blackfoot elder gave me that knowledge. So it's again, I want to do a little disclaimer too. We do want to, we want to express our traditional ways and so forth. And traditional ways are all over the world are different. So we don't want to be, if we say something, be ridiculed or skepticism or what. Because all our elders pass down different information, and so that's our training. So
it's a lot though. It's amazing though. And then with the so can you share with? Well, first of all, I just want to. Okay. So I want Paul here to answer this. So Paul, what's is it bison or buffalo? First of all, how do we say it? I'm just asking a really basic question. April said no. Don't have questions.
Yeah.
Is it buffalo?
No,
bison.
It's bison.
Yeah, buffalo from.
They're what?
Buffalo from Africa.
Okay. There you go. Okay, so the bison. Okay.
There's even water buffalo too.
Yeah.
It's more like Yeah. Like a cow, similar to a cow, right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
all cousins in some way.
We're all cousins. So Paul, what's the bison from a chef? What's a
Yeah,
bison mean to you then, in a sense? Because I'm sure
well,
you've cooked with it and all these different things. What's it mean to you from your
yeah.
perspective?
Well, it's huge, right? Like the flavor alone is like it's really good. It's a lot more firm, but like traditionally, like that was the prize across the country, and even down across the border too. That's one of my favorite things to cook. There's so many different cuts and textures that you can get, but it would feed like almost a whole tribe,
Mm,
like a village, and it's just awesome. Like their presence is huge, and
mhm.
like during the tough times, like having a big bison is just a big sigh of relief. Like we're gonna be eating good here.
I'm gonna
Okay.
add, I'm gonna add to that, Jay.
Yeah, yeah.
Add to that because I did learn quite a bit, and like the buffalo jumps and so forth, and even
Hmm.
our traditional on the west coast here, they harvest all the salmon, and it's get through all these winter months. We're talking about the weather right now; it's very
Yeah.
cold, and lots of snow, so you can't travel much. So this is where all the dried foods and everything, and the buffalo were a pivotal part of the food sustainability for a lot of the nations throughout Turtle Island, and it really was so important to have that dried meat, the dry berries, and mix the pellet pemmican. That all of that was so important to last through the winter, and that's something that we're talking about the winter solstice today. I know we haven't touched on that yet, but that's what it goes into the winter solstice. And if you see how we're trying to get through this podcast, is there's so many parts to our journey that are so important to our
Hmm.
journey to even have get through the podcast as it's moving through the podcast almost in our journey together. It's really interesting if you
That's
start
cool.
putting it as that, and just food sustainability of the buffalo, and of course all the different ways to prepare it. Even the Anishinaabe, the word for buffalo. Oh, okay, we'll get that'll be
It's
the
in
13th.
the
Yeah, it's seventh moon,
seven grandfather teachings.
that's
One of
right.
the sevens. And
I was actually going to ask you about that, April. Do you want to tell us more about the 7
I'll
grandfather
wrap.
teachings?
So
Do you want me to quiz you and make sure you get all 7?
I know all the sevens, so there's
Okay.
I gotta make sure I get them
No,
all.
okay. First of all, before we get into this,
Yeah.
what's so important that we need to know about this? Like, why is this? We need to know this. Like, we need to know this. What is it about? Before we get into all 7 of them,
Why is it important? It's just the
it's your
way
beliefs, right, and values. Is that what it is? The beliefs and
foundation
values.
and values and in the way we learn things and respect and honesty
I
and all
love it.
those things that make people human, right? And just
It's cool.
if you live off them, you're gonna have a good, I don't know, a good life, but you're gonna be a good human.
Okay. All right. I
Yeah.
like that.
Oh,
No, it's good. It's good. I think it's. I want to know
it,
because I want people to learn about it because I think when you go through it, and you guys have a beautiful layout of it on your website, it's everything I think we need. And this is my perspective. Let's see if I get it right. But it's everything to be. I think it's from when I read it. This is what I read. I'll share with what I read out of it. Is this is what you need to be I don't say a good person, but just be the right person, maybe is the right answer, the way to say that, right?
Yeah.
You hit everything in here. You need to do all this. Like you said, there's the respect in there. You got to be truthful, wisdom, like that's I think that equals to be to always be learning all these different things. So there's my take. Sorry, Sean.
you know what?
Am I close?
Yeah.
You know what? You are exactly right. And I was
In a way,
gonna help
Jay.
because we all know about our nerves here. But you know what?
I'm taken.
But we're gonna get it. We're gonna get this. And you know what? It really is. It's our foundation. It's the foundation of our company. It's the foundation of what our grandfathers have told us and taught us. And really, it is about just being good. Just
Mhm.
Put a smile on your face. And that's kind of into our smudge certified, as well, part of our company here. The smudge certified side of things that the
So what's that
outdoor-
mean? Well, wait a second. You can't say that without telling me.
Hey!
Okay, tell us more about that, Sean. What does that mean?
You know what? In a bit. No, just kidding.
I know who's got the control now. I know who's on this.
You know what? I really wanted just to finish up, and we will get to the smudge certified because it
Okay.
really is our basis of our company. And but you know what? Maybe I'll go right to smudge certified. You know what? It's really about doing business positively. It really is just release the negativity out of doing business, out of doing having life. And
Mhm.
let's just be positive. You know what? And it goes such a long ways, and I'm working out on my personal life as well. We all come from different walks of life, and there was times where I was in a negative scenario, and I really love how this has changed myself, and I know it's affected my colleagues as well that way. And you know what? Our company it's just about doing get the negativity out. We do have some parameters that are built into that, but really simple. Things that it's all the talk about the food industry and so forth, sustainability, fair trade, things like that. And we get more into that. But you know what? It's really just so positive. And we're going to have our Drum Circle Foods, which is kind of, I'm going to hint at that too. That's about the 13 moons and everything else. We're going to go on to other shows with the Drum Circle Foods. Again, sustainability, indigenous cuisine. We're going to get into indigenous foods, infusions that Jay, you came up with, infusing with other cultures of the world, which we are over the moon with. No pun intended.
No, what, over 13 moons.
But yeah, so but this, I wanted to finish the story of the white buffalo and why it's so special to me. I did form a traditional medicine company too in 2013 to help my dog that had a seizure. So the medicine wheel that we also wear it's all part of the healing process, the medicine side of things. We also, the food is medicine. It's really important that we start infusing that into our what we're expressing, because it is medicine. It is, we got the whole plant base and everything else, positive stuff, really positive. Protein. It depends on what culture you're. If you're from England, beer is part of your culture. It's just one of those things that with the Indigenous, as they know, diabetes is a big thing that we have to start talking about as well. But yeah, those are definitely in the works for the year. It's going to be exciting. Back to White Buffalo Coffee. 13 years ago, White Buffalo came into my life about my little dog having a seizure. I ended up becoming an expert in the field of cannabinoids. And it just transferred on to a coffee company that was just so fitting about me and my history, and with our fellow partner Paul Biglin, which is not here. He's actually in hospital, so we have our heart goes out to him as well. But it's kind of the yin yang. He had a vision of a coffee company, and this was my vision. So it's about the history remembered, acknowledged, defined. You'll find that also on the website. We're starting to formulate that and what it looks like. We did it for Veterans Day, for instance. So we first remembered our veterans, and then we acknowledged them, and then we defined it. And you'll see that on the website as well. Really cool stuff. And we're going to do that for all our platforms now. So I think it's really important to the where, why, what, how. Those going back to basics of learning again. So our platform is about learning. It's learning about the buffalo. And then we'll get into the white buffalo. So the white buffalo stemmed from my traditional medicine company. It's based off the Nakota 7 sacred ceremonies. One of that is healing, marriage, and so forth. So it's really bringing these platforms and all the knowledge, and we have so much to share with your viewers. And now our viewers, because we really want to be part of your audience, and no, we are, and that's when we start talking about drum circles and so forth, it's bringing everybody into the circle. It's about unity. It's about one nation. It's about so much that we represent, this panel represents, and we really want to share that with, Paul, you're saying you want to share that with your kids, and April, she wants to learn all the traditional ways because she was, not part of that growing up. She wants to go back. So that's perfect. This is why we're the Howling Moons.
I'm blown away. First of all, I think the other thing that I'm so fascinated by everything that you talk about, Sean, and what you guys do is, and I say this with respect to other products that are out there. You have a story though with your product and your coffee company. You have a story. So I always say this is that, from a restaurateur, I buy things, and I was talking to a company today about this. I buy things based on, in the past, we necessarily didn't have, well, there might have been, but not really, it was focused on the story. But I will buy a product over another product any day based on it teaching or is a part of knowledge-based product. Like there's a teaching there, there's a learning there that comes from your products. And I think there's something interesting about it. The product is phenomenally good as well, don't get me wrong. But there's something else that allows me to have something that's got more in depth into it that isn't just a coffee, right? And I think that is so important that people, when they're looking at your products out there, and I'm going to put this in my restaurant 10 times more than I will, not disrespecting the other products out there, some good products out there, but you have a story. And I think, and I love the fact that it's the first step as you share your stories through food and through education and stuff like this. This is one of those first steps. First of all, it's a great step with the coffee because everyone loves it, and everyone, it's an area that I think it's a great area to start. And to your point, it's probably not one of the first starting points you started, but for us in a relationship between us and Cisco and yourselves is a great starting point for us to learn more and to grow. And by the way, I had Bison on the show yesterday.
Nice.
Hey.
Hey.
From Halifax, all the way from Halifax. That was from Alberta. Noble Bison. I had that on the show.
Yeah, I would add to that, Jay. First, because you did ask me where I got that great tasting coffee from. Again, because I kind of bounce all over. There's my OCD
Hey, we're the same, brother. We're the same.
We're the same, yeah. So it's 33 years in the business. I was literally taught by the world's leading coffee tasters to identify different tastes. Again, I came from the Alberta oil rig where a styrofoam cup, couple of sugar cubes, and some coffee made. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Do you remember? Yeah. Okay, just wait a second. I used to eat those things. Don't you remember? You're bringing back so many memories on this thing. My dad used to make me the little square ones, right?
Yeah. Stirred up styrofoam cup though. That's the kicker. But to get my start handling all the nabobs coffee for a decade at Starbucks as well. Their decaf or Swiss water decaf. My experience in the tasting, so I knew what a crappy cup of coffee tastes like from back in the day of freeze dried. What Daddy had boiling on the stove, to now tasting all the different taste profiles of the world, and coming up with these taste profiles 16 years ago, Jay.
16
years ago, I came up with these taste profiles.
So that's got to take a long, that's got to be, okay, first of all, you just don't, can you explain that? Because that's crazy.
Okay, so.
I'm sorry, but that'll take 16 years, man. That is crazy. That's why it's so good.
Yeah, no, it's really, I knew what a great cup of coffee tastes like. And I felt that. I'm going to share that to our communities across this great nation. We've been, that tin coffee, whatever it is, whatever make it is. There's a niche for every type of coffee, but this coffee is good coffee. It's high. It's a little bit higher growing on the mountain. As you go up the mountain, it does get more expensive. So our coffee is not
serious.
100%.
Is that that's how they grade it?
Yeah.
That's cool.
The more flavor you get, and there's no question that a strictly hard bean is a better flavor. So, and the higher the mountain, the slower it's going to grow, the harder the bean. And of course, you get to different demographics of the world, and you've heard the Jamaican Blue Mountain, the Kona Kai coffee, or the Hawaii,
Yeah.
very, very, very good coffee. That is all part of the demographic. We're Central South America, so Costa Rica, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, really good coffee. Really good. I just cherish all the countries that I've worked beside. Handling their coffee for many years, and so all these taste profiles, Jay, is I came up with my palate with my partner Paul Bigwin, and we came up with this with another roast master, and so he mimicked our initial coffee roasting that we did on it just north of you there, Jay, is St. Albert, Alberta, called Saint City Roasters, and that dark or black feather that you're tasting mimicked. You get this one. We had a trademark for a coffee called Alberta Crude. And then our medium roast was called Drive Through. So it was like, we thought we had this, we're going to go after all the, sorry, can't say that. All those ones.
Yeah, he blew it, Paul, didn't he?
Free advertising here. So anyways, yeah, that was our idea. Didn't quite work, but you know what? I think we're on a great journey here, Jay, and White Buffalo Coffee. We'll be talking to him more about that and infusing that in Paul's, bison rub.
Paul, do you use it to cook with too?
Oh my God! How about coffee mousse? Oh no,
coffee mousse.
How much time do we got?
Fire up the truck, Paul. Let's get it
right. We'll start heading towards you.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, we'll see this. I'll make room in my driveway.
Different ways of using coffee within it, and then we have April, our taster. So so she's a foodie herself. Like all of us here, you can see that we do love our food and we do love our coffee, and it's all coming to fruition, Jay, and it's so. What would I say? I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud that I can use this platform. I can use your platform to really reach the masses now of what White Buffalo Coffee Company means to us and means to your viewers. And you know what? We have so much to share, and that's why you asked us, to come up with a podcast, and we called it Howling Moons, and that's based off of. Paul is from the Wolf Clan, and we all love howling at the moon, and it's just like, really. So a little bit about that. I don't know how much time we have here.
No. You just keep going. This is.
But it's just a little tip, but we're just going to get the viewers excited on this, and quite honestly, we're in the 13th moon today. Well, we're in the winter solstice today, which is so special to so many people. It's the birth of the sun and so forth, and in Indigenous ways, they gather. They know that now with using the medicine wheels and different other ways of learning where the sun is by the shadow. They know that spring is coming, and they got 4 more months for their food to last. So that's so important. That we pass that, there's little bits and pieces, but there is 13 moons, and Jay, you queried us on that, and it's based on the lunar moon cycle. So but it's so exciting. So what we're going to do is focus at each lunar moon cycle. We're going to focus a dish that Paul's going to come up with. We're all going to try it here. There's so many things we can do. We can maybe do her up right in front of us here. I know you're part of a virtual kitchen over there, so we're thinking about doing that, doing a little tasting. But I think it's going to be really exciting, Jay.
Well, we're honored, first of all, to learn from you in this new space that we all use. This is our new, and it's a weird way because I was talking this with someone else today. Is this podcast really became the avenue of communication and sharing stories, and this is our new channel of allowing. Back in the day, books are not going away. I'm not saying podcasts replace books, but today to get out to the generations we want to, this is such a great way, such a great, fast, efficient way. But anyways, little treat for you too. So you see in the corner there that says SVK?
Yeah.
we'll change it. So then that'll be your logo now.
Nice.
How cool is that, eh? So, first of all, we're so stoked and just can't thank you enough. First of all, partnering with us with Cisco. I think that's just, we got to put a shout out on there. But just also educating us and sharing all these stories, knowledge. We're going to share this across North America on our channels. And to learn more, they can learn a lot just going to your website. And I tell you, it's such great information. First of all, it's a great website, by the way, too. But they can go over to whitebuffalocoffeecompany.com and learn as much as you can over there, or tune into the new podcast. That is actually a really good logo, by the way. Well done. And exactly. You like that, eh? Yeah, that's good, eh? So let me see what it looks like with you guys all up there. There we go.
Yeah, I gotta put a little white pencil line around Howling Windsor for you too.
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll tweak it. It's always we're always working on things. But I want to first of all thank you just to be finishing up my year after 438 shows later. Year 438. That's in 1 year that we've done here at SVK, and it's been a long road and a very interesting road as we bring the industry and our food service industry this way of content. We don't tell people what to do. That's not our position. We're learning. We want to be the voice of the industry, the voice of the customer, the voice of the restaurateurs, of just asking the questions and learning and stuff. And I call it the Oprah model. I think Matt Rolfe said that, quote him, on one of my friends that's been on the show many times, is that we're here just to learn and to share these learnings through our industry, through this channel that we've created in this network. And we have so many amazing people that contribute to all the different shows that we've had. We've had so much fun and so many learnings about the industry itself. And you guys have just put the old cherry on the top of creating a whole new world for us and sharing this across our listeners, our audiences. But we're going to have a great 2023, and we've got new shows. You're part of the new show group that we have. We've got everything from Chef Brandy from the Calgary Flames. She's going to be on and doing stuff with her. We got a new butcher show too. You might want to tune into that one, Paul, and check that out. And we got a produce show. We've got some new stuff coming up here, a new data show, everything about the industry. So I just want to thank you all, and thank you especially, April, Sean, and Paul there, to be able to finish off. Well, we close the chapter of our year here, but we close it knowing that we're going to have a great time with you next year and the amazing stuff that you have with the God, that's a better logo than I have. So our logo, I hate to say it, but it is really good. So anyways, to everyone else, you know what? Enjoy the holidays. And if you're bored, watch 438 shows times 30 minutes. That's a lot of time. You can probably listen nonstop through the holidays, play it over again, of all the different things that we have. And just thank you. Thank you. I want to thank you. And thank you, everyone else. And what a great opportunity. Hey, we created something different here. So thank you so much. Awesome. Anyways, we're going to roll out and then have a great time. So we'll see you guys later.
All right. Yeah.
Cheers.